All right, so let's go back to the beginning, or at least as far back as Charles Darwin on his little boat sketching out finches. You know, the stuff we all think we understand, but do we really?
Well, it's quite remarkable. Darwin essentially gave us the key to understanding life's complexities through natural selection, all with those finches and his sharp observation skills. Really, it's hard to overstate how foundational his work has been.
Right, I mean, the Beagle trip was like pre-Instagram flexing, but his observations were killer. And then, of course, the whole idea of survival of the fittest.
Actually,
Wait, I know what you're going to say.
yes, technically it's not survival of the fittest, but differential reproductive success. Darwin realised that it's not just about which individuals survive, but which pass on their genes effectively to the next generation.
Which really explains a lot about humans, doesn't it? Like why we're so wired for competition and figuring out how to outsmart each other. Oh, and that brings us to William Hamilton. This guy comes along in what, the 60s?
Right. Hamilton expanded Darwin's ideas with inclusive fitness theory. He essentially said it's not just your survival or reproduction that matters, but also the impact you have on your relative success, genetically speaking.
So helping your sibling pay rent because they're your sibling, but also because some tiny part of your brain knows you share genes?
Exactly, though helping relatives goes far beyond financial support. Research shows that people are more likely to make life or death sacrifices for family than for strangers. It's a deep-rooted instinct.
I don't know. In my family, life and death drama is reserved for fights over who cooked better at Christmas dinner.
Yes, families are natural incubators for cooperation and conflict. Actually, this reminds me of a heated debate we had during a family reunion. Everyone got, defensive about who's been most helpful to others in the family. I mean, one of my cousins even started tallying babysitting hours for, bragging rights.
Oh, no, they didn't.
Oh, they did. And as amusing as it was, it made me think about how these little acts of support, driving someone to the airport, splitting up chores, they're really evolutionary psychology at play. Cooperation helps the group, but there's also a sense of keeping score, ensuring it's reciprocated eventually.
So true. And it's when you break it down, even altruism, this totally noble self-sacrificing idea, is still rooted in genetic strategy. We're all just trying to win at this big evolutionary board game.
Including rolling the dice on how much effort goes toward family versus others. There's always that balance. Kinship is fascinating in how it drives behaviour.
And just like that, Darwin and Hamilton team up to explain your cousin's babysitting rivalry from the family reunion. I love it.
When you really think about it, all those quirks of human behaviour, our emotions, decisions, even those awkward, gut-level reactions, they all trace back to solving the challenges our ancestors faced thousands of years ago.
Right, like all those gross-out moments when you're about to eat something sketchy and your brain goes, nope, nope, nope. That's disgust, isn't it? It's like our body's ancient alarm system.
Exactly. Disgust evolved as a behavioural immune system, a way to protect us from pathogens. It's why we instinctively recoil from things like spoiled food or, say, cockroaches running across the kitchen floor.
Ew, why did you have to go there?
Well, sorry about that, but it's true. And it goes beyond food. When you think about early humans, avoiding sickness or contamination was a matter of survival.
Okay, so ancient problems shaped how our brains react to the present. But you know what's wild? How stuff like competition or jealousy ties into this whole evolutionary equation. I grew up being ultra competitive in school sports. I'm talking about shoving elbows on the soccer field to make sure my team won. That level of competitive.
The primal instinct on full display.
Totally. And looking back, it wasn't just about winning. I think I wanted people to notice me, to make my mark. Maybe even some faux alpha moment happening in my middle school brain.
That's absolutely tied to evolutionary psychology. Competition and rivalry make sense as survival tools. In some cases, status, resources, or recognition could mean having more opportunities, whether that's social standing or, historically, access to mates and better resources.
So a Year 6 soccer match was basically my version of hunter-gatherer alliances. That's comforting, sort of.
It really does echo those ancient struggles, though it's thankfully less life or death these days. And don't forget jealousy. It's not just some annoying emotion. It's part of how our minds were designed to protect resources, partnerships, or even social stability.
Like having that friend who decides to one-up you at every chance, right? But seriously, jealousy and rivalry feel almost hardwired sometimes. Is it all about survival instincts?
Partly, yes. Jealousy can signal potential threats to something valuable, like a relationship or a key position in a social group. It's the mind's attempt to preserve what helps with reproductive or social success.
Right, so my soccer drama wasn't just about the game. It was me, like fine-tuning those survival tools at an early age. Evolution's got jokes, doesn't it?
It really does. And think about how these competitive streaks play into deeper human behaviours, especially when it comes to relationships and mate selection.
All right, speaking of life's little competitions and rivalries, let's turn the page to one of my favourite topics: relationships, family, and all the drama that evolution throws into the mix. Eric, what's up with the whole men and women playing by what feels like completely different rule books when it comes to relationships? Like, it's just crazy, isn't it?
It really is. And it comes down to something called parental investment. Basically, because women typically invest more in reproduction, think pregnancy, childbirth, and even nursing, it makes sense that their strategies lean towards long-term commitment, securing resources, and finding a reliable partner.
Meanwhile, some guys be like, the more the merrier, right?
Well, in evolutionary terms, men tend to prioritise traits that indicate fertility, like youth and physical cues. But, and this is important, it's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. Men also engage in long-term mating when the situation calls for it, like ensuring paternity and stable environments for raising children.
Right, so it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. Adds a layer of complexity to dating apps, doesn't it? Swiping left or right suddenly feels like we're tapping into ancient instincts.
Exactly. And it's not just about romantic relationships. Let's bring kinship into the mix, because family dynamics are another huge piece of this puzzle. Our behaviours with relatives, like supporting siblings or doting on grandchildren, are strongly influenced by genetic ties.
Oh, totally. And this is where it gets juicy, like the Cinderella effect. Basically, how stepchildren might sometimes get the raw end of the deal compared to biological kids. What's the deal there?
Yes. The Cinderella effect refers to the observation that stepchildren are statistically more likely to experience neglect or harm than biological children. It's an unfortunate but fascinating example of kinship dynamics in practice. Evolutionarily speaking, individuals might be less inclined to invest in children who don't share their genes.
That's heartbreaking, but I guess it makes sense from a cold, hard evolutionary logic standpoint. It's like we're wired to prioritize those who carry our genetic legacy. Still, feels harsh.
It does. But it's important to remember this is just one lens to understand these behaviours. Humans are also capable of incredible compassion and forming strong bonds that go beyond genetics. Adoption, for instance, demonstrates how cultural, emotional, and social factors can override these biological tendencies.
Yeah, and I love thinking about how evolution isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving as a group. Cooperation, compromise, even love, they're all part of what makes us human, right?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, evolutionary psychology helps us understand the whys behind our behaviours, but it's not the whole picture. We're not just shaped by biology, we also shape our own stories through choices, culture, and connection.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, I think we've done a pretty solid dive into the weird, messy, fascinating world of why we do what we do.
We really have. And it's been great exploring this with you, and with all of you listening. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. We'll catch you next time on JellyPod, where we'll uncover more of what makes us tick.